Okay, so we're going to go over how to do FF.11 notes for math. There are a few just basic concepts that we need to remember. So I suggest, you can either take notes as you listen. I'm also attaching these notes in the email I'm going to send you. So the first thing we need to remember is we're going to see this sign here. This sign is the sign for pi. And as we're looking at this sign for pi, that equals 3.14. For this particular lesson, we're working with circles, and these two are vocabulary words we want to remember. This one is the word radius, which is halfway from the outside to the middle of a circle. Then we have our diameter, which is from side to side of a circle, completely in half. So we have the diameter, so it's a longer word. It's going to be a longer line. Radius, shorter word, shorter line. So radius from outside to middle, diameter, side to side. So I hope that part makes sense so far. Okay, now there's two formulas we're going to work with. The first one is our circumference formula. This right here, this is the formula that you're going to have to remember all the way up through college. That means C, circumference, equals 2 pi 3.14 r. R is our variable that we do not know yet because we haven't started any math problems. That means C equals 2 times 3.14 times R. Then I did C equals 6.28 because 2 times 3.14 is 6.28 R. So this is what, as I've done all the way down to the bottom here, so I've solved that far. Then because I know these things, they're just right there. All right. Then we have our area formula, which is A equals pi R squared. So area equals 3.14 R squared. So area equals, and you can put 3.14, which is our pi, r squared. Now, I do want you to remember that when we have r squared, r is our variable, our base. If you remember, we talked about that. So if our base was 5, I'm just throwing this out there. If our base was 5, 5 squared is equal to 5 times 5, which is 25. So just remember that. Now, this will make more sense later on, but if you see 25.12 over 6.28, I want you to be able to use your calculator on this because we're doing more advanced math, so I feel like more advanced math does need a calculator. Plus, I'm pretty confident a lot of you are using calculators anyway. So 25.12 over 6.28, that means you're going to put it into the calculator as 25.12, the division sign, 6.28, and that equals 4. The two letters you're going to see is R equals radius and D equals diameter. So these are just your cheat sheet notes for you to have as we work through the problem. So we're going to refer back to this as we go through the lesson. This is our first lesson here. And sorry, you're going to see it vibrate a little because I want to make sure it stays in focus. So the first question, well, we're going to have 4 questions that are going to be asked throughout FF.11. What is the circle's diameter? What is the circle's circumference? Oh, let's put a question mark there. What is the circle's area? And what is the circle's radius? Those 4 questions you're going to see over and over in this particular lesson. You will be thankful that you know this because I believe this is how you start with in 7th grade, pretty early on. So the area of a circle is 3.14 square meters. Not meters. I don't know why I also have an accent. Focus, Wakoyak. What is the circle's diameter? So we're looking at this problem here, this question, and I see this word area. The area of a circle, that means they're telling us the area of something. That means that this particular problem is working on an area formula. So I'm going to write my skeleton of A equals pi r squared. Let's fill in what we know. It's telling us the area right here is 3.14. And we know our pi is 3.14. We don't know the diameter, and we don't know the radius. So let's go ahead and put r squared. Now, just like we did way back then, when we have a variable, an unknown, we want to isolate it and make it be by itself. That means you're going to divide both sides by the number that's attached to it. just like we did before I was injured. So 3.14 goes into 3.14 one time. These two cancel each other out. That leaves r squared. So we're saying 1 is equal to r squared. So what times what equals 1? That's right, 1 times 1. So that means 1 equals r. So remember how I talked about the vocabulary words? Here we have our radius, and we said r, so we said our radius here was 1. And that would be right if it was asking for radius, but it's asking for diameter. Tricky, tricky. So if it's from here to here 1, that means it's from here to here. That's also 1. So we're going to add those together. So 1 plus 1 is 2 is the diameter. And that's our final answer. So what happened was you found your radius, and you're going to want to just, whatever the radius is, you add that one more time. So if it's 1 here, then 1 plus 1 is 2. If this was 5, then it would be 5 plus 5 is 10. So you just add the whole. So this takes you halfway through the circle, and the other number takes you out. The number one mistake that's going to happen, if there's a mistake that happens, is that when you put in your answer, you're going to put in your answer for radius when it's asking for diameter. And that would be just a silly common mistake. So that's the first problem. The next problem says the radius of a circle is 2 feet. What is the circle's circumference? Look, we see this word right here, circumference. That means we're working on a circumference formula. So let us write down the circumference formula. C equals 2 pi r. So C equals 2 pi r. Fantastic. So it said we want to fill in all the things we know. It's asking what the circumference is, so that means we really don't know what that is. We do see the 2, so we'll go C equals 2. Pi is 3.14. And it says our radius, which is from outside to middle, is 2 feet. So do 2. Now we just follow our order of operations, and we multiply straight across. So 2 times 3.14 is 6.28. So if you want to do a step-by-step, so let me not skip. So 6.28 times 2. 6.28 times 2 is 12.56. And that's your final answer. So if you can do it mentally of going across, that's fine. Because you could have done 2 times 3.14, but in your mind or whatever. But then that's how we find our circumference. Okay, now we have this problem here, and this particular problem, it requires an extra step, and you're going to see why in a minute. It says the circumference of a circle is 25.12 millimeters. What is the circle's area? We have circumference and area. That means that we need to solve for, we're going to use both of these formulas, a circumference formula and an area formula. So what we need to do is we need to find r first with the circumference formula. So let's pull that formula. So we're going to do C is equal to 2 pi r. And we don't know because remember we're finding it first. So now it says, it's told us what our circumference is right here. So we have 25.12 is equal to 2 times 3.14 times r. Now we write again, 25.12, just keep bringing it down, is equal to 2 times 3.14 is 6.28 r. Now we need to isolate our variable, just like anything here. So even though r is for radius, we still need to make it be by itself. So that means we're going to divide both sides, just like you've done in the past, by 6.28. So 6.28, this cancels out each other, and that leaves us with R. 6.28, so when you, in your calculator, remember I said this will make more sense later? So in your calculator, you're going to see how it says 25, so you're going to put in 25.12 divided by 6.28, and you should get the answer of 4. So I would write 4 here. So now we have found our radius. That's what we need to do first. We found our radius, and now we're prepared to answer the question. So we started with our circumference problem, and now we're going to move to our area formula here. So our area formula A equals pi r squared, and A equals 3.14 times, and R we said was 4 squared. So 4 times 4 is what? That's right, 16. So see how I keep bringing it down because I want to make sure everything is staying, see, in a neat row, neat line. So that way I'm not getting lost and writing all over the place. Remember, all over the place gets crazy. Then A equals 3.14 times 16, which is 50.24. And that's our final answer. A equals 50.24 because it wants us to find the area. So first, we're going to find R, use our circumference formula. Then we're going to use that R in finding our area. So we find our R first with circumference, then we solve for area here. And this type of problem, that's going to be the most difficult one. And again, just take your time, be patient with yourself and with your parents as they sit with you. You know, they love you, I love you, we all love you. It's worth it. All right. The area of a circle is 28.26 square miles. What is a circle's radius? So look, we see the area, that means we're using an area formula. So we're going to go A equals pi r squared. And it's telling us what the area is. So we're going to write 28.26 equals pi, which is 3.14, r squared. Now we don't know what r is, so that's why it's going to stay that way. But we do need to isolate it and make it be by itself. So let's get rid of that 3.14. So divide both sides by the same number. Notice every time I'm isolating r, I'm always doing the one that it's attached to. So these cancel each other out, which gives us r squared, 28.26, so putting it in your calculator, 28.26, the division sign, 3.14, the equal sign, and that's going to give you 9. So here we have 9. So what is the square root of 9, right? So here we have the square root here, so this is here, so squared. So 9, what times what is 9? That's right, 3. Right? So if I put 3 here, then 3 times 3 is 9. So just remember, if we have 9, the square root of 9 is 3. And 3 squared is 9. Or to the power 2. Okay, I hope this helped. Feel free to send me messages or whatever if you have any questions. And have a good day. Math, FF.11.